How are you today?
I'm doing okay. I'm suffering a little bit from a head cold, so you'll have to excuse me if I sniffle here or there.
Not an issue.
But yeah, I'm doing all right.
And how was your day earlier before that?
I just got off the road from Terrace, so it's a route that I drive a lot.
Okay.
And I was in Terrace last night for a community event that I hosted with Skeena Diversity, organization that provides settlement services in the Terrace area.
How was that? How many got your concerns?
Yeah, we had a good turnout. We probably had 40 people come out, and you know, there are some changes the federal government has made that are having a real impact on people's lives. I'm sure you know all about this. Changes to international students, changes to work permits. It's created a lot of uncertainty for people. People have come to Canada, come to the Northwest. They want to build a life for themselves. They're filling really important roles in the community, and now all of a sudden they feel like the carpet has been pulled out from under them. And then we had a number of employers there as well. And the employers really rely on folks on work permits or international students to keep their businesses open. So everyone is in a bit of a tough situation right now.
You answered a lot of questions of mine, and we all are, in kind of trouble, and also the Canada is in kind of situations like that. So it's feeling how it's gonna be after that. The aftermath. Canada is feeling we're just going to deport, or we're going to stop after work permit and international students. But it will affect. I know that. If positive and negative, it will affect Canada also. But we'll talk about later, not an issue. And just want to start with that. I have some kind of introduction for you. And just stop me if I'm wrong over there. Let me know. And let me start with the welcome back to another episode where we are going to talk about informative and funny conversation with the Taylor Bachrach. And you know everyone. And let's start with the Northwest British Columbia, where Taylor is the Member Parliament. I'm not wrong.
That's correct. You're doing well so far.
So, Member Parliament of Skeena and Bulkley Valley.
Skeena-Bulkley Valley, yes.
Skeena-Bulkley Valley, with the years of experience in politics, from serving of Mayor and Smithers here.
That's right.
And representing riding in Ottawa also. Okay, that's good. And you also facing a lot of questions, I know that. And you're also a face of people from Skeena and Bulkley Valley. People are relying on you, and people want to ask so many questions. So I already noted, and that comments I already got from the social media, which I just post on a social media, and I'm going to do a podcast. So if anyone wants to ask, so I have a lot of, and we will talk about so many things, like little bit about US-Canada border area, what are the things are happening, and the immigration politics and economic development, and the things which are more, touched if we are in Smithers, just like development, or the other things which we want, and I already noted, we'll talk about it. And let's welcome Taylor Bachrach to the show. And let's start with the first one, which is, if you had to describe your political journey in one word, and what would it be and why?
In one word. That's starting off with a tough question. One word to describe my political journey. Maybe community. I think community is why I got into it, and it's still what motivates me, or place.
Okay. Just like you already post a poster on your ID is for the people, for the place.
Yes.
For the community also. So can you share something which significant challenges you have faced throughout your political career, how you have addressed them?
Significant challenges. Well, interesting. Maybe starting when I was the mayor in Smithers, I think Smithers is a really interesting community. It's a beautiful community. People want to live here. It's got a great downtown and lots of amenities. And because people want to live here, they feel really strongly about the decisions that are made around their place. And so, working with town council, working with the community to try to move together in a direction. Sometimes it was difficult. And so trying to bring people together and at least have an open conversation where people feel like their voices get heard. And, I'm really proud of many of the things that we did together as council. Obviously, every council, we make some mistakes here and there, but I think there were some things that we did that were really good. We brought in a tax change to encourage people who own businesses downtown to build apartments upstairs. That was big. We got rid of some parking regulations that were really old-fashioned and were holding back development in the downtown. I'm really proud of our downtown public toilet. It's stood the test of time so far. And before that, there was nowhere for visitors and people to go other than in businesses to use the washroom. So challenges, every political role comes with challenges. Moving to the MP role, I think that the biggest challenge has been the time that we're living in. It has been a very challenging time. I was elected in October 2019. I was sworn in December of 2019. And by March of 2020, everything had shut down for the pandemic. And I spent almost a year just at home here in Smithers as a new member of Parliament, trying to learn the ropes and doing it all on Zoom. And it was a time when there was a lot of fear and anxiety in the community because we didn't know what this pandemic was about, how it was going to end, whether it was going to end, how many people would lose their lives. So that was very challenging. And then we came out of the pandemic with, we went into it with a lot of social solidarity, and then slowly the fabric started to tear. And there were some very challenging times. The convoy in Ottawa, people with very strong feelings, and the consensus around the public health response really broke down. And so that was very difficult. And then just as we were coming out and the health restrictions were lifting, then we saw massive inflation, right? And we saw the price of everything go up, interest rates go up, really challenging situations for people struggling to make ends meet. So it's been kind of one thing after another. And now we're in this crazy time where we have, I'm really trying not to call him names, but we have a president in the United States that is unlike anything we've seen before. He's doing some things that are really despicable. And he's threatening our country in ways that we haven't been threatened before. And so that is causing us all to think differently about politics, about what we do together as Canadians. So those are all challenges. And I guess I try to approach them in the same way, with honesty and with an attempt to bring people together and find common ground. And hopefully moving forward in a way that our kids and our grandkids can have a decent future.
Hopefully. And the people, when he just met, I also don't want to name it. When he mentioned something, we will deploy a lot of immigrants. Then after that, we put the tariffs. And a lot of things he mentioned about the 51st state. Then all the people who are living in Canada, they were very affected by this statement, and they started doing it like made in Canada. Made in Canada or product by Canada. They started using it, and they are opposing the other stuff just like made by other countries. And I think it's really good for the country if we are using our stuff, the product of Canada. But there are a lot of stuff if we are doing in Canada, just like we are doing putting our flags and putting flags outside of the house or the car. I think if we do a stronger voice, we can make impact on another country. Just like I just reading Jagmeet Singh statement. He was like, we are gonna do a strong make a statement against them. We are not gonna sell anything to them, just like gas or mines, anything. And he mentioned there is one comment: if we stop everything, they will get to know that who is Canada.
The challenge, and all of that is important. It's important as a small country that we support Canadian and that we do everything we can to strengthen our economy within our borders. The challenge we have is that we're not a big population. And next to the United States, they're 10 times the size. They have a much bigger economy.
Yes, yes, yes.
And so it's hard to go dollar for dollar in
Yeah.
a trade war.
Yep.
We don't have much choice, but long term, I think it's very unclear what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not good at all.
Hopefully everything will be sorted out. And
I agree.
I will not talk about your personal life.
Sure.
What's your daily routine?
Oh, my daily routine is different every day. So one of the challenges of this job is that I spend about, I'd say 200 days a year away from home.
Seriously?
Sleeping in a different bed.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm in Ottawa. Usually the house sits about 120 days a year.
Okay.
And then I travel in the riding a lot. On weekends, we have something called riding weeks when the house shuts down for a week a month, and MPs go back to their ridings to be in community.
Okay.
But during those weeks, often I'm on the road, traveling to Prince Rupert Terrace, Burns Lake, Fraser Lake, Fort St. James, Haida Gwaii, up to Atlin. It's a big riding.
Wow.
The size of Poland. So
You're having fun.
It's a lot of travel. So the average day is different every single day. There's no routine at all.
But I think it's kind of good for the MP. You are meeting the people because they want to, meet the person who is raising the voice, and they know that the tailor is gonna be the bad guy if you are just going to tell that. Okay, if I am having a problem, who's gonna tell the other guys to the okay, just take one example of. If you want to tell the Justin Trudeau that we are having a suffering from anything in Smithers, you are the guy.
Yes.
I think that's why you are the main here, and you are helping people. You are helping to the people. And I have been asked so many people in town, what's your opinion about Taylor? And they are giving you positive response.
Really? Whew.
100%.
Well, that's
100%.
that's very good to hear.
Yeah.
It's when I first ran in 2019, I only made one promise, which was that I would show up and try to be accessible and try to show up where people are.
Yeah.
And it's been one of the greatest joys of the job. It can be challenging because many of the communities are very remote.
Yeah.
But getting to see communities that are so different from each other and getting to travel through this beautiful landscape, it's an experience like no other, and it's one of the most rewarding parts of the job.
Yeah, let's not talk about the other NDP, what they are doing it, but I'm saying it, you are doing very good.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
Yeah. So I have just one comment from a Canadian friend.
Okay.
And he just kind of, let's say, he's aggressive with the party.
Okay.
Yeah, he was saying, what's the NDP's perspective going into next election? Seems to be lack of kind of leadership, and from the top of Jagmeet Singh at the top, is there any worry about from your side? Because I know you are doing really good, but from the other members, they just kind of fluctuation in that party.
It's a tough question to answer. I guess I see these things really simply.
Okay.
We stand for what we stand for.
Okay. We
should be honest and transparent about what that is. And really, elections are about the people deciding if that resonates with them, right?
Yeah.
And so we try to come to those ideas in conversation with the people we represent. And we're at a time right now where there's a lot of, I think things are fairly volatile. Politically. We've seen, I try not to look at the polls. I think it's not necessarily the most positive aspect of our political system, watching the horse race and kind of treating it like a sport. But we have seen big shifts because the issues that Canadians were dealing with 6 months ago have been supplanted by different issues just in the past month, right? The tariffs, the attack on our sovereignty, and so we're seeing things move all over the place. And so I try not to get distracted by all that. Like I got into this for the Northwest, for the communities here. And so when there's lots of noise happening out there, I just try to bring it back home, talk to the people. I find when I knock on people's doors and I have conversations, many of them aren't thinking about that stuff. They're thinking about their daily lives, how they can make ends meet, how they can ensure their kids have a good life. And the things they're experiencing are shaped in some ways by the policies and the
Yes.
legislation that we pass. So I try to just think about that relationship
Yeah.
and how I can carry their voice forward.
Yeah.
Partisan politics. There's lots. There's like, personalities. There's like celebrity. There's
Yeah.
intrigue. Like this
Yeah.
whole kind of
Everything is going on.
And there's a whole industry in Ottawa that is focused on speculating about how everybody's doing, who's ahead, who's behind.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not much of that matters, really.
Not an issue. I have a question from my friend. His name is Vivek, and he wants to ask you. I'm just saying his words.
Yeah.
Can he help to accommodate indoor space for international students or for any other students for playing badminton or volleyball? And he's been here in 6 to 7 years, and he's struggling to find a space where he can chill in the evening or in the morning.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can get to know?
Well, it's a great, like, indoor recreation space is a great idea.
Yeah.
This is a really active community, and we've been fortunate over the years to get a lot of new recreation facilities built.
Okay.
So when I was mayor, we worked on the new arena. We have a second arena, which is a lot of arenas for a small town.
That's good.
The soccer field. We worked with the Skate Park Society to expand the skate park.
Yeah.
Now I know everyone is playing pickleball.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about this,
Yeah,
but
I know
it's a huge craze.
Yeah.
But most of that is the municipal government.
Okay.
And so my role as the MP is to try to support their initiative.
Okay.
And I think the town of Smithers, in some ways it's a tough conversation because there's never enough money to go around and to fund everything. When we talk about infrastructure, a lot of it is not very sexy, like water pipes and sewer pipes. They're going to spend about $8 million building improvements to their wastewater, like the sewer system. And so recreation facilities are always kind of that icing on the cake.
Okay.
And you have to, as local government, you have to weigh your priorities and respond to the public. I think, one of the opportunities is trying to work with the school district, work with there are churches that have gyms. There are quite a few gymnasiums in the area, and come up with partnerships and ways to access. But I know it can be challenging, especially at certain times of day.
Because they are working like 9 to 5 job or 9 to 6 job, and after that they want to do something, any activity. And after 5 o'clock, Main Street will be closed. Everything will be shut down, and they just need they go at home just while watching Netflix. They are okay, and they want to do some activities. But they are looking for it. Let's hopefully we'll get something in future.
Well, I would encourage people. The best way to move those things forward is to come together with other people that want the same thing. Talk about ideas, and then bring those ideas forward to the politicians. But starting at the local government level, because each level of government is responsible for something different, and it's really local government where that recreation facilities, that's where it lives. Sometimes there's federal money available, like the bike trail heading out towards Telpa. They got a bunch of money from the federal government, but it's usually grassroots local initiatives that really make the difference.
Okay, that's fine. Let's start with something funny. If you could describe your journey in politics using a movie title, what would be?
My time in politics using a movie title. Oh boy. I'm not sure. We might have to come back to that one.
Okay.
I should have read the questions more carefully when you said them, so I could reflect on. Do you have any ideas, Phil?
Fast and Furious.
There we go. Yeah. It's definitely not Home Alone.
Okay. And growing up, did you ever imagine yourself becoming a political career or not?
Not really.
Not really?
No, I kind of fell into it accidentally. Everyone comes to it in a different way. I grew up in a very small community where there was no local government. Everything was done by volunteers.
Okay.
And so I think my parents kind of instilled in me that idea that you need to contribute to your community. You can't just take, you have to give too. And so when we moved here, we were living in Victoria. We moved to Bulkley Valley and lived in Telpa. And we had ideas about how we could make the community better. And so I ran for village council back then. And it just kind of went from there. I think once you once you get into it, it can be a little bit addictive because
All good? Okay. Okay, next one.
Take your time. Take a deep breath.
Your favorite playlist of songs?
favorite playlist of songs.
Any kind of song
okay,
you like.
okay, good. Yeah, I have some like I don't have a lot of modern music that I'm into. I have two daughters. They're really into Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Me, not so much. But I was raised on like folk music.
Okay.
My parents, like in the 60s and 70s, they were really into folk music. I love old Bob Dylan. I enjoyed the movie that just came out about him. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
For Canadian content, Spirit of the West, they were a really fun band that was a big part of my teenage years.
Okay.
There's a folk singer from the East Coast named Stan Rogers.
Okay.
And I'm a big fan of his. And yeah, my dad kind of gave me a love for country music. So like I'm trying to think of like Hank Williams and like older country music.
Okay.
It's stuff that's not super cool or current, but that's been a big part of my life.
And if you want to choose one movie, which you want to like you can watch continuing for rest of your life, one movie, which will be?
These are hard. These are very... The tough thing about these questions is that, you know, there's always like the answer that you go to instinctively, and then there's the answer you think might be a better choice. But yeah, best, like I'd have to think about that. Movies.
Because you will get to know today.
He's too busy. We don't let him go see
Movies that I've
I've
watched
only
that...
seen one in 6 years.
But in the in the airplane, you are going to watch one movie.
Yeah, what are some movies that I've watched recently that have really blown my mind?
Then you don't.
I don't
watch
know
the-
about like what am I watching, like streaming, like TV shows right now?
Any TV shows?
I'm watching The White Lotus,
Okay.
the third season. That's pretty entertaining. I used to be really into political shows for some reason.
Then House of Cards.
I got it, like I watched House of Cards, but I found it too dark. You know, like it doesn't portray politics very well, I don't think. But there's a show, actually, you can get it on Netflix. It's out of Denmark.
Okay.
It's called Borgen.
Okay.
And it's kind of like The West Wing, if you ever watched The West Wing. It's a very old show, but it's about politics.
Okay.
But it's coming from a European perspective. It's a female prime minister in Denmark
Okay.
holding together a coalition government and her personal life. And
What's the
it's
name of the show?
Borgen, Borgen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Borgen. I'll check that.
very good
Okay.
and very short.
And what's the funniest or strangest question you have ever been asked by any other guy?
The funniest question I've been asked by anyone, like in politics?
Yep.
I go to a lot of grade 3 classrooms and do presentations about what it's like to be a politician, and they ask the funniest questions. But can I think of one right now? They often ask about, like, do you have any pets?
Okay.
What's,
you have pets?
What's your? I have a cat. Okay. My wife has, and my kids have a cat named Skookum, who's getting quite elderly. But yeah, what do kids ask that's a funny question? They ask, what's the worst part of your job? That's kind of a funny question.
That's part of your job. I'll cancel it.
One other question that I was asked was, I was asked whether I would perform as part of a show at the high school.
Okay.
And it's called Friday Night Live. It's kind of like a take on Saturday Night Live, but it's live on stage at the high school, and they wanted me to be the special guest host.
Okay.
And so I thought it would be kind of like this, where you sit in a chair and you just talk about your life and be a guest host.
Oh, nice.
But no, you have to act in every skit.
Oh, okay.
So I had to act in like 20 skits, and then they wanted me to dance at the end for the finale by myself in front of 300 people. And I'm not like
Did you dance?
I'm not a big dancer.
Okay.
It was when the song Gangnam Style, the K-pop song,
Did you
was
dance on
really
that song?
popular. And so I had to come out and dance Gangnam Style
Oh, wow.
in front of 300 people. It was not pretty.
Do you have video?
I hope there's no video. I had a friend who was a dancer.
Okay.
And I hired him to come over to my house and teach me how to do all the moves. And I practiced so hard that I tore all the muscles in my calves. And so when the performance came, I could hardly walk.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, that was probably the scariest experience. So anyway.
My love. And just can you take us for as an MP from the day of the starting and day of the end, what things you kind of do? Just escape the riding thing or going
Right,
to
right.
time, just going to the another town, and what things you do or how many people you met, and what are the things you do?
Yeah, so I'll give you a few typical days. Okay. So if I'm in Ottawa, my day is I wake up, I get on my bike, get on my bike, go to a coffee shop, get a coffee, ride my bike to the office.
Okay.
Get to the office, I change into my suit, I talk to my staff, and then I head to the House of Commons. And I'm usually back and forth between my office and the House of Commons all day.
Okay.
12, 14 hours, get back on my bike, or change out of my suit, get back on my bike, ride back home, cook dinner, usually about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then on travel days, I have to wake up at like 4 in the morning, get in the taxi, go to the airport, fly across the country. Often when I'm coming home from Ottawa, it takes 2 days.
Okay.
I have to stay the night in Vancouver.
Wow.
When I'm in the riding, often I wake up and I get in my car and I drive to Terrace or to Prince Rupert, stay in hotels, have meetings, go to events, that kind of thing. And then every now and then I have a day at home where I just work in my kitchen at the kitchen island with my laptop.
Do you like any cooking?
I love cooking. Yeah.
What's your favorite dish?
What's my favorite dish to cook? Interesting. What have I been?
It should be
What I love cooking is sort of like when there's a bunch of random food in the fridge and you don't want to go shopping, and so you make something from what is there, and you just kind of think of. I've been using the New York Times cooking app on my phone for recipes.
Okay.
And there's lots of good ideas. I like making healthy stuff. I'm trying to think of I have some go-to recipes. There's an enchilada that I make. It's kind of Mexican.
Okay.
From a cookbook called the Rebar Cookbook.
Okay.
I've made that a lot. I had a big pork chop kick where I was cooking pork chops in Ottawa a lot with chimichurri, which is kind of a green sauce from South America.
Wow.
Anyway, too much information, but I like cooking all kinds of things.
That's good.
But when I am around, we try to share the cooking.
I mentioned your name to. Should I mention or not? I don't know. I mentioned to a girl, a lady, and I'm gonna meet Taylor, and she was like, "Oh, he's so nice guy." And after that, she mentioned your wife's name, Michelle.
Michelle.
They both are very good. They are good friends.
Oh, nice.
They know you, your wife, and they're like very good lady. And then after that, I'll give you something, and she will be happy with that. I have something special for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, speaking of cooking, the other thing, one time I was invited to be in a cooking contest.
Okay.
It was a fundraiser, and I was taking this very seriously. It was when I was mayor in town here. And so I sharpened all my chef's knives very sharp. And then it's a timed contest, right? You only have 40 minutes to cook, and they give you all the ingredients. And I was going so fast that I cut myself really badly, so that I was bleeding all over the place. It was not good. Not my proudest moment.
In the collaboration with the organization like Skeena-Bulkley Society, what steps are being taken locally to support immigrants, and what addresses concern arising from the federal policy changes? Any concern about it?
Yeah, well, lots of concerns, as we were saying.
Yeah.
It's the federal policy changes are really creating a lot of uncertainty for people who are here on work permits, international students, and for employers who have built their businesses around their ability to have international workers providing the work. And so it's happened so quickly. I think it's really created some difficult circumstances for people. So working with groups like Skeena Diversity, and I hope that as a community we can come together and support people to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, we should be.
But at the end of the day, like there are some things we can't control, and the government has made the decisions they've made.
Yeah.
They want to reduce the number of temporary residents. So that's international students, people on work permits, all of the streams of temporary status.
Yeah.
They want to reduce that by about 450,000 people in 1 year.
Yeah.
And then 450,000 the next year too.
I think it's already now 350,000, I think so.
So that's going to mean some pretty tough situations. And I talk to people they've made a real commitment to this place, right?
Yeah.
I talked to one individual whose wife is having a baby. I talked to someone in Terrace yesterday who moved here from another country, sold everything. They really went all in on this move because they had heard that Canada was a place of opportunity and promise, and it was a place where they'd have a good life.
Yeah, and this is one friend, she's from Philippines, and they are just parents, and they had one daughter. They sold everything from Philippines.
Yeah.
They came here around 2 years, and they are now like the government will want us to go back.
Yeah.
How can we go back? Because we already sold everything.
Yeah.
And they are not making us to stay here. We can't go over there. What should we do?
Yeah.
And we are, in this next situation, we can't do anything.
I think like two things. So one, on the one hand, like it is a temporary status, right? So, but what happened, and some folks I've talked to have helped me understand this, the Prime Minister went out there with a very clear message to people. He said, we don't only want you to come here and work, we want you to come here and live.
Yeah.
We want you to become part of our country.
Yeah.
And so the word got out that that was a possibility. And for many years, people were able to come on temporary status and apply for permanent residency and jump through all the hoops and eventually get permanent residency. And the coolest thing is when we get calls from people and they say, I just got my citizenship, and I'm now a Canadian. And so that has been a path that people have been able to rely on for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And in Canada, there has been very pro-immigration sentiment in the public. And I think in just in the past year or two, that has shifted.
Yeah.
And so it's creating some difficult conditions. And I think the government overreacted with their changes because it becomes very politicized. I sat in the House of Commons and I heard the Conservative MPs get up and say, there's 1 million people here on temporary status that have to go home. How are you going to make sure that they actually go home?
Yeah.
So they're pushing that, and they're blaming, in many ways, they're scapegoating newcomers for things like the housing crisis or the healthcare crisis, right? And I don't think that's fair. Like, the reason we have a housing crisis is because the government has been asleep at the switch. And starting in the 1990s, they actually got out of the business of building affordable homes.
Yeah.
And so now Canada has, when we talk about non-market affordable housing, Canada has less than half the OECD average, percentage-wise. So if you look at all the housing stock, you've got, rental housing, you've got market housing, and you've got non-market housing, which is like non-profits, co-ops, things like that. If you take that as a percentage, we're way behind the rest of the world. So we have to catch up. We have to build more homes. That's a big issue. But it's not the fault of the newcomers who are coming here, many of whom are fulfilling really critical roles in our community and contributing in all kinds of ways. Anyway, all this. So.
About Smithers. My friends are concerned about if we are planning to do any development here, just to regard, and again, if any big companies are coming here, so it will be, big opportunities for the people who are here and who want to come work. It will be easy for us. And I am here for the last 2 years. I'm sorry to say, but there is no other economic development, like no bigger companies are coming here. And I don't know about it's federal thing or it's for the Smithers community who will take care of everything. Is there any concern about any companies are coming? Are we developing Smithers with any opportunities or not?
Well, it's it's a bit of a complex question. When we talk about economic development, there are different ways to develop your economy. And I think Smithers' real strength has been that it's had a pretty diverse economy over time. And there are a lot of small businesses and no really big employers, right? The challenge you have as a community, if you have a one big employer that employs 1,000 people, it's great while that employer is operating. But especially when it's multinational companies that have head offices far, far away, all of a sudden they can decide they're not making enough money. They turn off the switch and your town is in serious, serious trouble. If you have a diversified economy with lots of small industries and small players, you can lose one and it's resilient enough to keep going. And I think that's been Smithers' strength over time. It's never really boomed or busted. I think one of the most challenging times was in around 2001. The provincial government cut a lot of the government jobs here, about a third. And because it's somewhere where people want to live, a lot of the people found other things to do. They found ways to stay here. So yeah, I'm always a little bit, there are jobs here that are with big companies. So High-Tech Drilling, for instance, is a company born in Smithers. It operates all over the world, in Portugal, and all across Canada. Amazing company. Banstra Trucking also operates all across Canada, born here in Smithers. And then you have some of the biggest mining companies in the world that are working north of here in the Golden Triangle. And a lot of people in Smithers rely on those industries as well.
It is. CN is here.
CN is here as well. That's hundreds of jobs in our community. So, looking down the road, I want to see our economy as diverse as possible. I would love to see more manufacturing. I think it's something as a country that we're really falling behind on. We have a lot of resources, a lot of natural resources, but we could do more with those resources instead of shipping them out raw. To use people's ingenuity, use innovation to really add value. I think that would be good.
Hopefully. Everything will be good.
That's the hope.
Just last one, not the question. How was it?
How is it? How is it? Well, it's day to day. Today, not so good because I'm sick and I hate being sick. I haven't been sick in 2 or 3 years.
Not an issue.
So sniffling and just feeling off. But most days it's all right. We're coming up to an election. That's always a stressful time, exciting time. I'm running again, so we're already getting out there and knocking on doors, talking to people, trying to talk about a vision for Canada where we lift people up and we take care of people. I think that's what makes us special as a country. And
if you want to give it just last message to the people of Smithers or terrace, you can. So
a last message. Well, I guess the message would be we're in this together. And, let's pull together and try to create something really good for our kids and our grandkids.
Thank you for that. And we'll
Thanks,
see you in town. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for that, everything. We are done.
Thank you for being on a podcast. And here is a small gift to show our appreciation for you.
Thank you very much.
This is for you, your secretariat, and one for your wife.
Oh, wow.
Malaysia.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. Beautiful.
No worry. Thank you
And
again.
Just let me know how you feel it after that.
Okay.
Because it's really good. And someone who knows about you and she gave it to me. This will really good for her.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see you going to put it together.
Thank you again.
It's my pleasure.
coming.
Good luck with your project. I hope it comes together.
Thank you so much.
I would love to see it when you're done.
And I'll share it with you. And if you can share it with your post
on
or
your
something.
That'd be great.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Good to see you.
We can get a picture.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is it okay we take picture together?
We take a picture.
Sure. I can take it for you if you guys want to.
No. And next one is, if you got any chance to have a dinner with any celebrity or any political figure, who would be that guy?
Any celebrity or political figure? Maybe Barack Obama. I think that would be fun. Yeah. These are always tough ones. I did a podcast in Terrace,
Uh-huh.
and they asked me which Ryan I liked better, Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Gosling, and like I was ashamed to say that I didn't actually know the difference between them. So it's always tough.
But
My knowledge of pop culture is not the best.
okay, but it would be great if you had a dinner with the Barack Obama, and I think you both kind of same perspective. He's also like for the people and of the people for the community, and you are same doing it. Okay, you are known for the loving outdoor activities. I have seen your posts every time you are doing a lot of things for outdoor activities. You are just like going biking, skiing. If you had pick only one outdoor activity for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, I think paddling my canoe down a river.
Okay.
Yeah, is would probably be my choice.
Okay.
And the reason is because it's easier than hiking.
Okay.
Because the water carries you along, so you don't have to work. When you're hiking in the mountains and you have a heavy backpack and you're sweating and you're, like the whole thing is painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're in a canoe and you're going down with the current and you go around the corners and the landscape changes, it's just like a very peaceful. It's a very beautiful thing.
Okay.
So I could do that forever.
And what's
I have to have a big canoe so my whole family can be with me. But